Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, welcome to the live stream of consciousness, my fellow aspects of source. I just came up with that. Is that good? Does that work? I heard somebody saying that the other day. I heard somebody talking about just said the word aspect, and it just hit me in a funny way. And I guess that's how these things happen, right? Knowledge just kind of hits you, and all of a sudden you know something. And just the idea that we are all aspects of source just hit me and just felt so like warm and cozy. I was like, ooh, we're all aspects of source. So welcome, my fellow aspects of source, to the live stream of consciousness. It's Thursday. It's April 18th. We are slowly going week by week instead of quickly like we did last year, mentally slowing down time. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about tonight because I'm going to change up the format a little bit. I've been thinking about evolving the show and doing some new things. And I forgot to say hello to everybody. I see Ninja Kitty out there. I see Grace Grella watching. Hat Powser is out there. What's up, folks? Thanks for being here. Good to see you, ladies and men and other aspects. Excuse me. So I'm excited because I'm changing up the format. I'm not going to ask the question, what is consciousness, tonight, because I have an amazing guest who's a returning champion. I love saying that, like Alex Ferrari. And it's Raven Adams. Raven Adams is an amazing energy worker. She leads with energy. That's her whole thing, and you guys may remember her, but I'm gonna let her do the talking about exactly what she does, and I'm excited to talk about what she does first because it leads us right into tonight's topic of conversation, which is, what is karma? So welcome to the live stream of consciousness, returning champion Raven Adams. What's up, Raven?
What's up? I'm happy to be here again. We had so much fun last time.
We did, and I'm happy that you're happy to be here. That always makes me feel good. That's like I throw a good party and people want to come back.
Yeah, your show always has good energy.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. What's up,
Deb?
Debbie Romero. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I haven't seen your name here before, so welcome. Cozy on up and pull up a seat and chill, and let's talk to Raven and join us in the chat. I also saw Grace Grella, always watching on both platforms. Very cool. Grace. Always, what a support she is. She's so amazing.
She really is. If anybody ever has a bad day, you just need to message Grace. She's like a cheerleader for sure.
I never thought of that, which is kind of good. That means I don't really have bad days too much.
Okay, that's good.
Where I need like, oh my God. But Grace is, anytime I'm having a good day, Grace always lights up the energy when I interact with her. Totally. So you were actually the inspiration for taking the show to this interesting place and doing a discussion on a specific topic during the day. We were just talking about it earlier. You had made a post about karma. What is it? Or something. What you didn't believe in it necessarily, or you said you didn't see it the same way that other people saw it, and I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
So I responded, and then I guess our discussion ensued. And we decided to do the show. So that's tonight's show about karma. I forgot to, let me just quickly upload something here. Or maybe I got to share it. How do I do it? Okay, add overlay. Go to my desktop. Sorry, guys. I don't usually produce on the fly like this, but today I just have this cool idea. I want to post this image, and it's not going to let me do it. So, you know what? Let's do it this way.
You'll figure it out.
I'm going to make a new tab and just put it in the browser and share that because that's kind of cool. Share screen, share window, and there it is. Oh, and it made it the background on my browser. But this was a graphic I had made
Oh,
for
wow.
today's show, Karma. I think I got to pop it in here. There we go. If you
That's
get it.
beautiful.
And it just happened to go with the branding that I created. So I was like, oh, this looks great. And this is, I'm not saying I created this. I did this with AI. I'm very transparent, but I love AI. That's going to be one of the subjects I talk about because it's just such an interesting frontier.
Well, it's going to be a part of our future. We can't just ignore it. So.
Absolutely. And fortunately for me, I've been able to embrace it. A lot of people in the creative community are fearful of it, which is understandable, but I think that's why the discussion is necessary. And the quiet feeler is out there, and she says hello. So anyway, I wanted to talk about you and what you do, and I want to put this in the banners too. Hang on one second. Oh man, I'm like a little slacking on my producing
it's okay
duties today, but this is your website, ravenadams.com, and I'm going to make a banner so people can get in touch with you if they are interested.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And there we go, ravenadams.com. But I wanted to talk about specifically lead with energy, and that was something that I was talking about on the intro. And this is something that you do that I find fascinating and so original and unique, and that is leaving these tarot cards around, or angel cards, different cards from different decks in kind of random locations for people to find them and receive their message. And I was saying to you earlier how fascinating I found it because, one of the things with energy work, intuitives as well, when you're a psychic medium, one of the things you're trying to do is take yourself out of the path of the message and let it get directly to that person, because people have their own biases. You hear or see a message, and you may apply it to something that affects you, may trigger you or something like that, which is why, a lot of psychics do, exercises to clean, words and thoughts and feelings. But I think it's interesting as a card reader, because card reading is usually like an in-person thing. You've kind of taken yourself out of the picture and allowed the message to come through you, even though you're pulling the card and putting it where you put it. You're not delivering the message. The person is receiving the message the way they're supposed to, very purely.
Yeah. Well, that was my intention though, because I feel like you don't necessarily have to go to a psychic medium or a healer or an intuitive to get a message from spirit, right? And I do a lot of one-on-one work with people. However, I think it's beautiful to teach people that you can connect with spirit at any time in your day-to-day life. It could be walking down the street, it can be sitting at the park. So what I do, I love Deb. She's a cheerleader too.
Oh yeah? Awesome.
She's
I love that. Well, and that's part of what we're going to be talking about, right? Is the energy that you put out, right? So continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But it's interesting when people find the cards, because I do put a little channeled message on the back of it, but I think intention is key, right? So anytime I place a card, I put the intention out with pure energy, with pure spirit, that, hey, spirit, help guide this person to the right card to find the message. And what's beautiful is I don't have to be there. I mean, me placing the cards is about that person having the experience. It has nothing to do with me. Right? I'm just the channel, the medium, whatever anybody wants to call me. I like removing myself because I think it's beautiful for somebody to find the card and have that moment. And, I've had people, I had a friend of mine, he was like, you should, hide behind a rock and have a video camera and see the reaction, and you would blow up on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I would, but that sounds a little, it's like when people constantly record like homeless people on the street. It just feels like, it's beautiful, some of those stories, but it's like, what's the intention of you doing that? Are you doing it for views? Or are you doing it out of your heart? And I personally, I love placing the cards and then disappearing. It's just something, it's my thing.
Right. Well, you know what? And it is totally amazing, and I think that's also what makes it so pure, right? The messages is your intention. You're not looking for views or anything. However, I will say this, I do think it's a fascinating way to spread a lot of messages, right? Different messages. One, just the idea of what you said, people can get in touch with energy, on their own anytime. Maybe, and we can talk about this later, maybe you ask them, in a message on the card, you say, reach out to me, via video. We can give me like, let's tell the story, you know what I mean? And
That's
it
a
could be,
great idea. Yeah,
yeah,
that would be a good podcast.
absolutely, just people telling their stories. I feel like people would be receptive to it, right? Because
I
everything
think so
already
too.
happened, the magic already happened, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's like double magic, because triple magic now at that point, because the person finding the card, just finding the card, must be an awesome moment, right? Like, oh my God, look at what I
Yeah.
found. And then the few moments after that where they're like, oh, wait a second, I've got to interpret this. This is telling me something. There's a message on this card,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just that's just so cool. I would love, like, I think anyone watching the show would be in ecstasy if they came across a card on the ground.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's funny.
ooh.
I had a woman in London one time, which was the craziest thing. She had followed me on Instagram, and she messaged me and she goes, I think it's awesome what you do. I would love to find a card one day. I'm like, oh, you've never found a card? I'm like, how did you find my Instagram? She goes, somebody had posted you, just a domino effect.
Right.
How is London so big? She ended up finding one of my cards in Regent's Park. In the video, I'm gonna have to send you it. She's screaming in the video. She recorded the whole thing because she was
Wow.
like, "How did I just follow you?" And then a week later, and she beautiful soul, like she does energy work.
Yeah.
But I was like, it aligned with her energy. It's so funny. She found one though because she had just followed me and she found one in London, which is crazy.
And is anybody surprised? There are no coincidences, right? We
Yeah,
know
yeah.
we know this, right? And that's just such a phenomenal story that you have, and a testament to what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's such amazing. And Raphael is out there. He says synchronistic geocaching.
I love that.
I
I love that. That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
that's totally amazing, Raphael. Awesome. And Raphael, thank you. Raphael is in Vienna. And it's like
Ooh.
probably 4 a.m. there. So
Oh,
thank you for
wow.
being here, Raphael. I always appreciate Raphael's presence when he's here. Anyway, yeah, that's amazing. And again, that must feel so good. And definitely, like I said, if you want to talk about maybe trying to figure out how to get some video, after the
Yeah.
fact for this, I would love to help you with that. That sounds
I would love, yeah, you're great at that. That's a really good idea.
it sounds like a fun project, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
current, with people who are kind of tripping over the ideas of energy in general, and then kind of starting on their spiritual journey, whatever direction that takes them, like there's so many modalities to explore, so it's like, people just trip over the idea of being aware of the I am or whatever it might be, and then it's like bam, they're off and running. I've seen
Yeah.
it so many times, and it's so great to watch people like diligently, what's the word I'm looking for, seek out knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's not like when you grow up and you're in school and you're not diligently seeking out knowledge, you're just kind of being fed
100%.
knowledge, you know what I mean? And it's so
Yeah.
good to see people taking accountability for that, which also ties into everything we're about to talk about. Right?
Wow. That's crazy you said that because I was talking with a friend about that the other day. So wherever you want to start, that's interesting. Yeah. Because I think
Well,
some of our karma as a collective is not taking our power back and doing our own research and knowledge and just being thrown stuff and we take it. And
right,
that's,
right.
I see that karma playing out all over the world.
Right, right. And that's almost like a generational trauma, right? That's just kind
Yeah.
of the way we came into the world, so innocent and kind of probably knowing more truth and reality than the people who have been here for any amount of time, right? Who are at that point starting to put their ideas on you. And again, I think it's fascinating. I mean, I think it's fascinating when I see videos start and they talk about, like, when you're born, you're given a name, you're given a religion, you're given all of the, you're given this story, and it's so true. And you know, again, that's why I think I'm compassionate to it, because it's like, it's very easy to just take that on, because that's what you're given. It's like you're naked and you're just given this bundle of stuff, right? And you're like, okay, give it to me, you know. And it's just so great to see so many people waking up and taking accountability for what they know, right? What they know is real.
I agree. It's beautiful to see people open up to that and question everything. Some of them, like people that I have, like mediums and healers that I have the most respect for, are those that always see themselves as a student, that are always questioning everything. Those are interesting people to watch.
Absolutely. And I got to give another shout out to Debbie Romero, because I see the chat room is on fire. I want to welcome Stefan from Facebook. I want to welcome Tilsa, and I want to welcome Courtney, and I want to welcome Anne, and I want to welcome who else do we got here? Oh my God, so many people. Latoya. So apparently Debbie sent out a link or tagged a bunch of people, and they're all showing up. So we're having a party, Debbie. Thank you for starting a live stream party. I really, I do appreciate that. And now's a good time, since all these people are showing up. The live stream of consciousness is every Thursday. If you're here, just hit like on YouTube or whatever you are, wherever you are, and share. Just share it, just like Debbie did, because that's how I'm going to grow this community. That's how we're going to grow this community. It's definitely not about me. I could do this, and I'd be alone if you guys weren't here, and I would still do it. I'd just be talking to nobody. But the fact that you guys are here makes it a real thing, and really it's important, and great conversations that we have. I love the conversation so much. So tonight, you know what, before we get into tonight's conversation, because it's still early, we got plenty of time. I want to go back. I want to put this back on the screen and just show some of what we were talking about to anyone who's not familiar. This is you in different locations. I thought I could click on these and make them bigger. I guess I can't. This is you in different locations with the cards. So here you are, like on a subway or a plane over here, outside at a dock, you're in a park. I mean, these are just such amazing locations. And also, you know, like what I love so much about this is, as a photographer, which you also are, and as an artist, there's such an amazing like style and energy in itself to this whole thing that you're doing, this whole vision of the hand holding out the card in these beautiful locations, and the card, you know, has its own energy to it. I also want to give a shout out. I don't know who the decks are, but a shout out to you for inviting artists and people who create decks to allow you to use their decks in this energetic experience that you're creating. I mean, it's just amazing, and absolutely love this. These are amazing. And
I think you would have fun with me placing them, because you are a photographer. Because obviously me and you are just naturally creative people, so it's fun for me. Like, I would rather go out and explore an area and get a beautiful photo of a card, instead of just sitting in a room doing readings all day, because I'm a natural creative. It's fun for me to like play with the color and to play with nature to get a photo for Instagram. Totally.
And it would be totally interesting, because this is your perspective, like from your POV, right? What you're doing, and mine would be more of like this. I don't know why the word witch came to me. It's not, you know, it's not in a bad way, but this wizard, this powerful being, you know, like this divine feminine figure, doing this act with so much intention. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I know for me, it would be awesome. So maybe we got to plan a day trip or something one day,
right?
and do it. It's very cool. So also, you're a photographer, and this was, I guess, kind of inspired by that. Was tell me about how they tie together.
Well, you mean how Lead with Energy came about?
No, not lead with that. Well, yes, I do want to know that, and that is an important part. But I'm talking about as a photographer. So I don't know
Yeah.
if it's on here.
Well,
Your photography is more. It's like portraiture, but a very street style portraiture, like urban
yeah.
street. And so I just wanted to know how this kind of evolved into this, or how they connect for you.
Well, when I first came up with the idea, when Spirit was like, you have to place these cards, that's when, I started this. I'm trying to remember what year. It was years ago, but it's in the beginning when Instagram started to become popular. And I just intuitively was like, wait, let me start taking photos of these cards that I'm placing, and let me start a separate Instagram account.
So you were already placing them before that?
Well, I probably placed like 2, and then I immediately made
right.
Yeah, I immediately made. Yeah. I personally I know a lot of people are intimidated by social media. It's a lot of work, but I love it because I love creating. And so to do intuitive work and incorporate social media and creativity is fun for me. I know it's not like traditional intuitive work, but I'm not traditional. I like being different and creative, so it works for me. So I don't take photos of all the cards I place, though. I place a lot, so.
Well, I'm imagining when you're placing a card and you're like, oh wow, this location, this is a photo, right?
Oh yeah, I have visions of certain areas that I do when I get a certain photo of the card.
Oh, wow.
That happens to me a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So one place might bring up the energy of another place, or
yeah.
Wow.
For some reason, it's obviously, as you know, you've interviewed a lot of intuitives. Nature is my go-to for placing cards, and by the water. People are more grounded and relaxed by nature and in the water. So I do feel like in that situation, they take in the energy more of the message.
Wow. Yeah. Water's a big one for me. I feel like water is definitely, there's a lot of energy tied to water and our own essence.
Yeah,
I guess you would say. Yeah, totally. Oh, and I see more people. So Michelle. Oh, so I think I started to say to people to describe. I'm getting excited because I'm seeing all your friends show up to this amazing party. To subscribe and share. Oh, I already said that. I don't know. I get excited. Anyway.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's,
you don't want to be on a podcast that's like boring. That's why I like coming on here.
Well, it was only, excuse me, in the last few weeks or last month or two that I realized, like, wait a second, I'm building a community here. And so let's talk a little bit about energy, and let's talk about karma, and let's talk about messages, right? So I realized I was building a community. I mean, I knew it, I've been doing this for 2 years. Like I said, the initial response, there were a few people who reached out and said, hey, this is affecting me. And that was enough. I didn't need I don't need hundreds of thousands of views and anything like that. Yeah. But I realized I was making a community. I realized the connection to what I do, this show, the idea of the show, and Diane Hutnick reached out to me. Diane Hutnick does Empowered Path health and wellness expos on Long Island. She does a few a year, but then she started doing now this networking night, bringing together health and wellness people, and she actually has some vendors and stuff. And she contacted me and said, hey, I want you to be a speaker at my event.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm like I just let intuition guide me. Okay, this is what I'm going to speak about. This is what I'm supposed to talk about. You know what I mean? So it all just it was all channeled. It all flowed out, and flowed into this amazing opportunity that I have. And it just feels really right. It feels like I'm super excited about what I'm going to say. My girlfriend Janice, the quiet healer, was also invited to speak because she created her own show because she saw what I was doing, and she's a Reiki master, and she's called the quiet healer because she's kind of introverted, right? So she created her own show to kind of be a place for her to step out of her comfort zone and grow and be able to speak to people and network and create a presence. And that's what we're doing. That's what these shows do. They create community, they create a presence, they let people kind of share their message and do their thing, whatever it might be. You know what I mean? Sarah Curley speaks light language. She has her own broadcast. So the other speaker is another good friend of mine, Christopher Allen, who is an amazing, incredible psychic medium who...
Yes, I've seen him.
And I don't mean to take up the time, but
No,
the story is so cool. So Christopher Allen and I were on a cruise many years ago. It was a spiritual enlightenment cruise. So White Light, Steve Interanti had put together this group and all of these events and a cruise package. And I went on the cruise package, and I didn't have a roommate, so I was put into a room with Christopher Allen. And
so synchronistic.
It was so synchronistic. We became friends, and at that time, I loved his personality so much and what he did as a psychic medium, because the first time I saw him, everything changed about my opinion about psychic mediums. I was very skeptical, and he just like erased all the skepticism. I was like, this guy is the real deal. And I was like, you should do a show. You should do live readings, a live group reading show. And he was like, yeah, he was really into it. We got excited, and then the cruise was over, and a year later it happened. I found a studio. I said, Chris, come check out this studio. It was Indie Music Studios here on Long Island. And we did almost like a year's worth of shows. Once a month, we would do a show. He would have like 60 people come, and he would do a group reading live on YouTube and Facebook. And then COVID hit, so we had to stop. But that is also the beauty of this whole idea of these broadcasts, right? Is like, I'm sitting at my house, you're sitting at your house, and here we are, talking to this whole group of people, and sharing our energy. And
everything is energy. You can be behind a computer screen, and that's such a beautiful example of karma right there. Just a simple intention and action that you brought up to him, and look what it created, right? And it might not happen, karma. It might not happen immediately, but it'll always come back around. And I do think, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this, that every lifetime, it won't necessarily come back to you in this lifetime. And it's not necessarily tit for tat, like back and forth. But I think what you give out, like, for example, what you're doing with your show, beautiful. You're putting out this beautiful energy. You're networking with beautiful healers. It is like, so Spirit, I was excited to share this with you. Spirit was showing me a slingshot the other day, right? So imagine a rock right here on a slingshot, and that's your intention, that's your energy, and you're putting it towards a goal or a person. And a lot of people think, oh, well, that intention or that good deed I did comes directly back to me. But Spirit was showing me it breaks and it goes all around the world. Which is a perfect example of your show, because it's not just back and forth with a person. You're building a community, and you're networking, and what you do affects everything around you all over the world. So I think we have to be very intentional with what we do with our day-to-day actions, and it creates karma, not necessarily for us, but for everyone.
Absolutely. And we didn't even really start talking about it yet, but you did bring up another aspect of karma. I was kind of doing some research today and looking up definitions and just kind of trying to see some things about karma. And karma is not only necessarily applied to an individual, but it's also applied to past lives.
I find that so interesting too.
So someone's karma doesn't just affect them in this life, it may affect them in another life, or things that they're experiencing now may be a result of karma from a past life. I think that's really interesting. Totally. All right, so let's talk about karma. First of all, just like I say, what is consciousness? Let's define it. What is karma?
What is karma? I mean, so many people have so many different definitions of this. I think it's just the consequences of your actions, right? Whether it be perceived as good or bad. But again, I don't think karma is necessarily like you do a good deed or you do something and it comes back to you. I see a lot of people, and I think we have to be careful with this as a collective. Look at karma as like if something bad happens to somebody, they automatically point fingers. Like, oh, that's your karma. Like, you must be a bad person. Whew, you got to be careful doing that, because when you're that judgmental energy, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, can humble you very fast, right? Because like you said, karma could be coming back from a past life. Also, my guides have always told me this, that we have free will and we have the ability to create and make beautiful changes in the world. But I do think certain things happen in our lives that we agreed to have happen before we came here, right?
Sure.
Painful things, grief. And so if you're going through grief or a hard time, you can't like beat yourself up and be like, oh, this is my karma. You know what I mean? You have to be careful with that. But I think it's very important for us to be intentional with our actions day to day, because it affects the whole entire world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like that definition. I want to add to it. And I think it's again, we talk about energy, and you talk about energy all the time. The whole idea of some basic concepts, you get what you give, kind of thing, right? And that is, I try to describe it as energy. It's what the energy is that you're radiating into the universe. You're putting it out there, and the universe is going to reflect it back. And again, I think a lot of people think, oh, I do this, so this, and it's definitely not so literal. You need to be able to kind of read between the lines and see the simple things that maybe are happening that are good things, and say, oh yeah, I'm a good person and I put out good energy and I have it pretty good. You know what I mean? I'm still alive, and all of these things. So I think I agree, and that's probably where that post came from, right? That you posted originally, is that it's not as black and white as people think. Like, oh, you did this, so this is going to happen to you. But again, energy is my thing, right? I think or our thing, right? Energy is the thing, and you give what you get. Again, a lot of people have a hard time understanding things that are that I guess are like like, why do people get sick? Why do people get cancer? You know what I mean? Like, why? And this kind of is like, well, what if there's a God? Why does this happen? Blah 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 blah. But I think it is all related to energy, and I think energy flows, right? And I think talking about free will and making these decisions, and if you are making decisions to do positive things and help other people, I mean, it seems pretty obvious why that would come back, you know what I mean, as it does as if you choose to harm other people, why that would come back. And it usually is a reflection of somebody's lifestyle, I would say, right? Or like,
well, I always tell people, for example, your karma is also it's funny because you said you're building a community. I always say, be careful, because your karma is your friend group, right? You pick up energy from the people you hang around. You pick up energy from what you watch on your cell phone. So it's like, you have to be careful who you surround yourself with. You have to be careful what you listen to. That is your karma as well. And I love how you mentioned and I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, but like somebody getting sick, right? And I saw somebody the other day, and I could feel it in their energy field. It was so sad, because I could tell they were beating themselves up. Like, why? Like, why did this happen to me? Where did I go wrong? Da, 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 da. And it wasn't my place to really step in. But sometimes people, I could feel we don't have all the answers. And that could have been a choice this person made to go through this experience in life, right? For a soul lesson. And somebody getting sick, right, affects everybody around them to have more compassion, to have more empathy. So it really is, it's all connected.
Absolutely. And I guess even, for me, The experience, has made me a better person. I'm much more aware of how I treat people, of
Yeah.
the words that I use, with other people and with myself. You know what I
Oh,
mean? A lot
yeah.
of times, like, it's funny because I and now I can say this, it's funny. I struggle with the word struggle. And I feel like if
Yeah.
you put something out there and you
Uh-huh.
say, I'm struggling with money, let's say,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're giving that whole concept energy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Totally.
that's the kind of whole manifesting idea, right? You're like, you're
Yeah.
saying the words and you're having the thoughts, and it's putting that energy into the universe.
I have
Yeah.
to, it's so funny. I pulled a card. You're gonna love this. I pulled a card before, and it's oh, can you see communication? And it's a blue
Yeah.
jay feather, and it
Yeah.
made me
Hold
laugh.
on.
Can you see
Hold
it?
that up again. Yeah, yeah. Straight out. Hold it straight out. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, a
But
feather, right?
it's a blue jay feather,
And that looks
and
like you holding the cards
it
out. That's
is. It is. It's my. I made my own. I'm not finished with it completely. My own lead.
oh,
Yeah, I made my own lead with energy deck. But
awesome.
yeah, when I think blue jay, I found that blue jay feather, and I'm like, I immediately went to throat chakra. I'm like, this is going to be my throat chakra card for my lead with energy deck. But it's funny. I just pulled this right before we went live, and I'm like, that's interesting though, because communication is like a spell, right? So
Mhm.
you nailed it. We have to be careful with how we speak to other people because that can affect them for life and how we speak to ourselves. I mean, I catch myself all the time. But you know how I talk to myself, and my guides are like, "What are you doing, Raven?"
Mhm.
And I have to like, okay, let me get myself back on track again.
It's interesting because it's kind of funny, but I'll be in the middle of a conversation and I'll be saying something and I won't finish the sentence because I've processed it and I'm like, wait a second, don't give that energy, don't use those words, right?
Mhm.
So just my own awareness has affected the way I behave, and I got
Yeah,
to say,
that's
I
great.
I love it. I love the person that I've become, and
Aw.
the last couple of weeks have been hysterical because I've been experiencing I use the word adversity, right? Just because it's
Mhm.
like conflict situations or something that may not be so great.
Yeah.
And I'm just smiling through it. I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
this is
I
it.
can do this.
This is adversity, right? Exactly. I
Yeah.
could do it. Like, I could do this. This is no
Yeah.
problem. And it just makes me that much more grateful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's like this snowball effect. I think I think either direction that you go, right? If you start to succumb to negative thoughts and do
Uh-huh.
do stuff, that's gonna snowball. And I'm
Totally.
like kind of in the opposite place, which is great. All of the things that I do, and I think about carry an energy. They carry an intention and they carry an energy, and that just
Yeah.
kind of reflects back. Um,
Totally.
yeah, awesome. I want to catch up. I see so many comments going by.
Yeah. Catch up with the comments.
Yeah, let me catch up. So Tilsa said you are the medium of the five people you hang out the most with, and that's kind of,
100%. So
yeah,
important. But a lot of
definitely.
people have to learn that for themselves, you know?
Hmm. It's definitely a lesson that
Yeah.
some of us have learned and some of us haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we've all learned that lesson.
my audience most likely has.
I,
Yes, I think.
Grace,
Because,
I love that song. That's a song that gets you in a good mood.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally,
Grace, that's a good one. Yeah.
totally. And Pauser says Stuart Wilde wrote a book called "Life Was Never Meant to Be a Struggle." And
Huh.
that's I love that because I feel like that's part of my message, right? And is that,
Mhm.
like, why does it have to be so hard, right? Why does everything have to carry the energy that it does,
Mhm.
when it's a negative heavy energy? And not saying that that shouldn't exist. I
Yeah,
think
I
those
think
things
we
they need
100%.
to exist, but you need to also know how to process them. And I think that's what I'm saying about adversity, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I got this heavy energy here, but I got it. I'm holding it and I'm carrying it, and it ain't that bad. And
Yeah. Well,
and
it's
I know that I'm gonna get to put it down in a minute.
yeah, but it's like you made a good point. Like, how do you process that? Right? I don't think it's so like I look at the school systems now and I'm just like, oh, there's so much more we could be teaching children. perfect example, how to process their emotions, how to
Mm-hmm.
deal with negative emotions, especially men. You see men are so shamed for not being able to release anger, or you're shamed if you cry. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they
Mm-hmm.
should honestly teach that in schools. Or
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
going down a spiral, what helps you? For
Yeah.
me, nature,
Yep.
listening to music, new radicals, like Grace
Mm-hmm.
said, you
Yep.
know, like
Yep. Yep. Yep.
what are ways that you get yourself out of it?
Totally. I've been talking about that the last couple of weeks. It's so easy. Here's the no tools, no
Mm-hmm.
nothing solution, right? Take a
Yeah.
deep breath in through your nose and count to 4 as you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And release it. I already feel it. I
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
feel it. You know what I mean? It's literally that
Uh,
simple.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what Hat was saying, it's not meant to be a struggle. I think that's kind of why you're here, why I'm here, just to kind of show just by our existence to other people, like, you know what? It's not so bad. Hat's also saying the blue jay was my totem animal when I was skydiving.
Oh,
I
wow.
designed my jump site in royal blue, white, and black. They're small but fierce. So Hat Powser was apparently Hat Powser stories coming out more and more. I see her online. She was a skydiver. That's awesome. I love that.
I've never been skydiving. I want to go though. That sounds like fun.
Um, I guess I'm supposed to tell this story because it came to my brain the other day.
Okay.
I did skydive once. Me and my brother took my I have a sister who was turning 18. We took her skydiving, so we got to do it as well.
Yeah.
And Grace Grella will like this. I definitely, no doubt, as I was going down, and you go down tandem with someone,
Uh-huh.
I definitely heard Led Zeppelin music playing.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I don't know where it was coming from, but it was
Uh-huh.
loud and clear, and
That's awesome.
it was definitely Led Zeppelin, and I was just like, is that normal to happen? Like, I guess everybody experiences different things, so
Totally.
that was,
Spirit wanted to make it a little more crazy and adventurous for you.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm catching up here still. I can't marinate too long on certain things, being sick or sad. I'll retreat, cleanse, refresh, and step into my power again. See, that's also how I feel, and I'm also navigating that, not struggling with it, but navigating it
Yeah.
because I do want to allow those energies to exist.
Yeah.
And
I think
I
that's
do,
important.
yeah, yeah. But I also agree because I don't want to give those things extra energy. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that, okay, the energy that's there flows.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not carrying it unnecessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
a lot of people, unfortunately, don't know how to transmute the energy. So I think that's important. I wish schools would teach stuff like this.
mhm, mhm. Tilsa says, let the poop go."
Let it go.
Tim is out there. What's up, Tim? Tim is also another flavor that makes my show international. He's no, actually, he used to be. I just remembered he's in the United States now, but he was in Brazil for a long time. So
Brazil.
yeah, he's awesome. So he says it's a great testament of one's character when they put out positivity and help others despite being in an adverse situation. And absolutely, and I think.
Yeah.
I've said it before too. Some of the most humble, gentle, kind, loving people I know have pasts that you wouldn't even believe. When they tell me, "Oh yeah, we tied up this guy and we had Uzis," and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" But I've been through some crazy situations, and now just I guess that's their path, right? Experiencing that side so that they can appreciate the light, experiencing the dark so they can appreciate the dark. Courtney Lopez says, "I love the new me too." Isn't that awesome when you kind of recognize yourself in the way you are, and you're just like, "I'm pretty cool, damn it." I think that's awesome.
Well, he makes, who was it? The comment you had before, what was his name, where he said somebody that's going through adversity, that they're still kind to people? Tim, that's a great point, because I'm very observant of people when I'm out and about, and it really shows somebody's character when they do something for somebody that can't do anything in return, right? I'm very observant of people, how
hmm
people treat homeless people, how people treat wait staff. I'm very observant of that. Should
Yeah,
always
me
be
too.
kind to everybody.
Me too. And it's funny that you're saying that because I'm like bringing my brain to that, right? And I'm thinking about somebody treating somebody like that in a great way and having a great reaction, and I feel the warmth. And then I'm seeing somebody treat them with disrespect, and I'm feeling how I would feel if I was witnessing that, like dirty and like, oh,
Yeah,
well, why
not
would you
good.
do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. Wow. So, all right. So let's talk about karma. There's two other ways I want to talk about it.
Okay.
We have some time.
Okay.
I want to talk about it on a collective basis, I guess,
Yeah.
but I also want to talk about it on the timeline basis, right? So the more akashic level
Yes.
of karma. And by the way, guys, I looked up karma. Let me share this real quick. I thought this was interesting. The Merriam-Webster definition says karma often capitalizes the force generated by a person's actions, held in Hinduism and Buddhism to perpetuate transmigration, and in its ethical consequences to determine the nature of the person's next existence.
Oh, next.
So I think I remember when I was younger thinking karma was like what I do in this life is going to determine where I end up in the next life. I remember
Really?
holding on to that concept at some points that was told to me. But then there's another definition here I love: a characteristic, emanation, aura, or spirit that infuses or vitalizes someone or something, right? So your energy, the energy that you carry, that the way you treat other people, the way you receive things is your karma. That kind of makes sense too. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like a personality trait is your karma.
Totally.
So I love that was energetic. And then some of the other stuff I saw here was, I thought this was great. Karma principles. Small actions can lead to great results. The smallest action can bring about immense happiness or great sadness. What you may consider a small act of goodwill might be huge for another, in the same way that a short, heartful remark can have a lasting impact on them.
Totally.
And I think that really hit home with me as far as, again, energetically, what your intentions are and what you're putting out.
Yeah.
And then another thing here, it says karma is non-transferable. That is, you're responsible for your own karmic experiences. No one else can experience your karma for you, nor can they remove it for you, right? So
Interesting.
yeah, that's interesting. Some people might try to go to like some sort of spiritualist and say, hey, can you get
Yeah.
rid of this for me? And it's like,
Uh-huh. No,
you
you
got to
gotta
do
pick
it.
advice.
Yeah, you got to do it yourself. And this also was interesting. Non-committed actions won't give you the result you want. You must fully commit to actions or intention to bring about the result that you desire. And then karmic actions won't disappear on their own. You must experience the results, whether good or bad, to purify them through spiritual practices. So those were some interesting
Yeah.
concepts that I thought the karmic principles, they called them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what do
so,
you think about like collective karma?
well, I think I don't know, I never actually really thought about it. I'm trying to think about it now, but I think the way that I feel karma is collective is because your own actions and intentions, do have an effect on those around you. You know what I mean? So you're
Yeah.
either helping elevate people or you're bringing people down. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm trying to think of how that really applies to the collective. I mean, I do feel like humanity in general is in a very exciting time, that there's a change happening, right? And I feel like the change is going to be a change in perception, a change in awareness, right? So I've been talking about this also for the past couple of weeks on the live stream, is that I originally was kind of subscribing to the idea that there was a 3D and a 5D, and there was a split happening, and some people were going to kind of stay in the 3D and stay in the 5D. And I kind of accepted that because it made sense on me to some levels. But then I heard somebody said it, somebody was talking about it, how it's not, and nothing's going to physically change in the three-dimension plane, but the perception and the awareness of the 5D, it's going to certainly feel different, like a different place, because now you're perceiving things that you never perceived before. And I'm imagining that to be, I don't know if I want to use the word entities, but experience different realms, right? That are not three-dimensional realms. So the 5D perception of that is going to be wild, right? It's going to be, it's going to be awesome.
Well, it's like tuning a radio. It's like a medium, right? When they connect with spirits, I see that with like the fifth dimension, and there's so many other dimensions. It's just about tuning your frequency to it.
Absolutely. So I'm interested in what Hat Pals are saying. First, I'm going to pop up Grace's song. Karma is the guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me. That's so funny. Grace. That's so funny. But Hat Pals are saying any collective is comprised of individuals, because I guess that's a response to what I was saying about my own karma and how it affects the collective. And I guess also being aware, right, of those, and now using free will and your intention to go either way, right, is gonna affect your whole ecosystem, whatever is around you, the people around you, and yourself. So that makes sense. But I want to understand what Hat is saying here. She says, and reportedly individuals incarnate in groups. So
that's interesting.
So I'm kind of wondering what that means. I've always had this connection to, and it's funny now, almost thinking as I'm saying this out loud, like in a spiritual group of people, right? I'm going to say something out loud and I'm like, I wonder if some other people are going to judge me because of this, right? And that is that it's funny what it is going to make you laugh even more, is that I've always had a connection and felt connected to Orion.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So the idea that could, somebody might be, well, like, I'm from Pleiades, and they might get offended, you know what I mean, or whatever. But like, it's just something that I've always felt, like just anytime I've ever been in the presence of the constellation, there's this energy that is undeniable. And so again, in different spiritual philosophies and teachings, there's a group of entities. There's a collective, from Orion. And collectives are cosmic entities, right? So even the humans on Earth are a cosmic entity and part of a bigger picture, right? I was about to say the Galactic Federation. I don't want to get way out there,
I watched somebody that channels them. It's very interesting.
Well, sorry, I don't mean I don't mean to jump on you, but what's interesting about that to me is that many years ago I saw somebody doing channeling and talking about the Galactic Federation. I was like, this person's way too out there for me.
And now look at you.
and now look at me, right? It's like I'm just like, oh man, I think I know what they were talking about.
I mean, we have to be open to that. I mean, we're in this huge galaxy. For us to think that we're the only ones is crazy. But collective karma is so interesting to me because I really do believe one action, it doesn't necessarily, again, like I said this earlier, it doesn't come back to us. So we have to be very aware and present on every action because it can affect a million people around us. Spirit kept showing me this earlier. It's like the war. Wars are happening all over. You can't just look at a country and be like, that's theirs, deal with it. It affects the whole entire world. And until we realize that we're literally all connected, we're separating each other, right?
Right.
And so we really need to think about that.
And I'm not in denial or anything like that, but it's really kind of interesting because when I think about, I don't think about it. When I hear about it, I'm like, that still happens.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I mean?
crazy. It's crazy we're still doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's weird because I do feel like there's this split, right? People who live
Yeah.
in that reality and people
Uh-huh.
who are like, wait a second, that's ridiculous, that still
Yeah.
happens. Hat Pauser says adversity, what Abraham Hicks would call contrast, is rocket fuel.
I
Interesting.
agree.
I
I
love
agree
that.
with that. I feel like that's a huge part of my life. I remember years ago, I told Spirit, I was like, listen, I want to affect the world in a huge, huge, huge way. And my guides kind of laughed. I'm like, oh no, I wasn't expecting what I was expecting, because what did my guides do? It wasn't all beautiful moments they put me in. It was a lot of heartbreak. It was a lot of loss. It was a lot of grief. And there were so many moments I was mad at my spirit guides, like, what are you doing to me? I work so hard. I'm trying to do good for the world. But now it's funny. I've been thinking about this week. I see why certain things happened to me, because they were training me to relate to people more. I had to go through that contrast because I'm able to feel into people on a deeper level and help them transmute the energy. The contrast, you don't see it in the moment, though. In the moment,
Right.
you're cussing out your spirit guides, you're mad at
Right.
God.
Right.
But
Yeah, totally. Go ahead.
but
Continue.
it makes sense why I went through a lot of contrast, and we all go through contrast in life.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's very specifically related to what you're saying. Like, been a few relationships that I've had, like not romantic relationships, but different people that have come into my life that have been a bit difficult, and a, I guess I could use the word struggle here, a struggle, right? To find a place with that person, but I think, and how do I want to say this? I mean, again, I enjoy that adversity, and it was like I took those opportunities to learn how to navigate that relationship, right? And in the end, that person ends up telling me, "Wow, you really had an effect on me." You know what I mean? Like, you really showed me some things, and that's a great validation, right? To have a relationship that's feel a little adverse, and then have that person say, you know what, I really like you. You affected me, or something like that. And Ive is out there asking if we can ask psychic questions today. You can ask psychic questions any day. I don't think Raven is specifically a psychic medium, although
I can do some like psychic stuff. I mean, I have my cards on me. I don't consider myself a traditional medium, but I can pull a card for you if you would like today. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you want to get into that, or I mean, I can.
We're at about an hour, but I don't have to go to bed. If you're up for it, I would love to offer somebody a message. And if you are looking, you have a specific question that you want to ask, certainly go ahead and ask, and Raven will pull a card for you. And I guess if anybody feels like they have a question and wants some energetic interaction, I love that. I think I was saying last year at some point, it's interesting with me. I feel like certain phrases or concepts like go into my brain, and then they sit there for like a couple months, and then they constantly come up, like, oh, there it is. And the idea of energetic signature, everything has an energetic signature, came up, and that was just like again, knowledge that just, oh, this to be true, right?
And you gotta remind me of, it's interesting watching you evolve, because it reminds me of Orlando, right? When I did Jeff and Orlando's podcast, I did their podcast a few times, and he was like iffy about this stuff, and I'm like, you just watch. I'm like, because you're surrounding yourself with the energy, you're gonna start tapping into it more. It's just, I love it that he's doing all these lives and his tarot, and he's open channeling. So that's going to happen to you more and more. That you're trusting yourself on a whole nother level now with what you're hearing and getting, which I think is awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. I agree, and I'm super excited about it. I'm like waiting for stuff to happen. Last week, I have this little 360 camera. It's very small, right? It's like this little thing, right? And it's important to me. I like playing with it. I like doing fun things with it. You've probably seen me posting things with it. And I couldn't find it for a few days. I'm like, I don't know where I put it. I don't know where I put
Uh-huh.
it. And then all of a sudden I'm in my bedroom and something tells me, look in
Hmm.
your garbage can.
Yeah.
And it was at the bottom of my garbage can, underneath garbage. I would have thrown it out if that
That's
thought didn't
crazy.
if that thought didn't come to my head. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
I had an intuition. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was so excited. I was so excited. But
That's awesome.
I think you're right. I think I'm really, we were talking about this before the show. I consider myself pretty open-minded,
Hmm.
so much that I'm proud of my Flat Earth Dave show, where I had Flat Earth Dave on, and we just had a great conversation. We came to
Hmm.
we came to solid ground, so to speak.
Was it?
Uh,
Oh
you
my
know,
God, that's so funny. Was this recently?
no, this was probably last year at some point.
Okay. Okay.
And I didn't even know who Flat Earth Dave was. I came across a
Yeah.
video, and the energy in the video was what hit me, right? Because there was some scientist guy who was just blasting him and calling him an idiot and all of these things. And in my brain, I'm thinking, well, I believe that the earth is round. I don't believe that the earth is flat, but not only would I never treat somebody like that, but like
Totally. Yeah.
I do believe there's a significance to what he's saying, and I think
Hmm.
it represents something else, right? So to
Yeah.
me, what Flat Earth Dave was saying represented there are things that we don't know,
Yeah.
right? That
There's
that
so much
not
we
only
don't know.
things we don't know, but even I'll take it even further. There are things that we've been told that are wrong.
Oh
You know what I mean?
gosh. Totally. Yeah.
About but like big things about reality, right?
Hmm.
So back to that 3D 5D
Oh
perception.
yeah.
I think it's all related to that. It's not
Yeah.
related to conspiracy theory and all of that stuff, which
Hmm.
is huge and something that I play around with, and I delve into that because it's interesting to me. But I think
Yeah.
why I'm positive about the future and all of these things in light of everything that's going on in the world is that fascination with the 5D perception of 5D, and just
Hmm.
really not, what's the word I'm looking for, not waiting, like really being excited about when
Yeah.
that happens, and what that even looks like, because who knows what that looks
Yeah.
like. We
That's
can't
good that you're
even.
putting that energy out there, though. I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know. I'm super excited. And back to karma, back to this show and all of
Hmm.
that. I feel like that's a part of why I'm here right now and why this show is here. I feel like I'm supposed to bring somebody onto the show that's going to
Hmm.
have some sort of profound effect on me. And now that I'm even saying that aloud, I'm realizing that every guest has had an effect on me, and every time I do
Yeah.
it, it's like it's adding to who I am, and kind of
Hmm.
adding to who everybody in the audience is. It's we're all expanding,
Yeah.
we're all holding up our puzzle piece and saying, okay, where do you fit, where do I fit?
Hmm.
Okay, you go over here, you go over here, cool.
Yeah.
This is starting to look good. We're starting to see a
Hmm.
picture now, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah,
You're building a beautiful community. All your
thank you.
guests. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And as I'm saying it, I feel like it's like, wow, I'm doing this, holding up the puzzle pieces and saying, look, we're doing a picture where other people are like, oh, you're different than me. You
Uh-huh.
you go over there, and the division, and all I'm preaching is
Hmm.
connection, and that we are connected, and we should all just honor it, and
Yeah.
freaking feel it already, right?
Yeah. We're a big puzzle. I love the way you put that. That's interesting. The puzzle pieces. That's a
Yeah,
good image. That was good.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
You should
And
incorporate that. I keep seeing you, just an idea, with your photography.
mhm, mhm.
A puzzle. Using a puzzle somehow with your photography.
Interesting. I am going to think about that. That's
Just
great.
keep that in mind.
That's great. I want to just acknowledge everybody out there in the
Thank
chat
you
room.
all.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you. Such a great group of energy. It is. I can't tell you guys how much that means to me, that I create a space, I create a broadcast, and people actually show up and enjoy it and share this energy this way. So if anybody in the audience has anything that they want to share about karma while we're on this karma episode, any experience that you have or any idea of what karma is, go ahead and say it now. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you, Raven, for just some words of advice and kindness and inspiration for my audience.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to karma, I would just say be present this week with your intentions, right? We live in a world where everything is, people move very, very fast. You know, you have kids, you're a mom, you have to go to work, you have to run to the grocery store. And sometimes we forget to stay present and realize little moments create karma. It could be smiling at somebody at the grocery store, it could be giving somebody a compliment. You know, I place the cards. Maybe you're inspired to write a letter to somebody this week, or picking up the phone and telling somebody, hey, I appreciate you and I respect you for XYZ. Just think about how that can do a domino effect in somebody's life. So I'll challenge you to do something like that this week.
I love that. That's great. And what, as you said, that made me think about the collective and the collective karma. In the way that, you know, we've all seen it, and I don't think anybody in my audience is like this, but we've all seen people at a supermarket kind of berating the cashier, or just kind of feeling like I'm the customer and you're the servant, and not kind of treating that interaction as, hey, we're existing together. We're both part of this transaction. Yes, you're serving me and I'm receiving the service, but we both have to be accountable for what we put into this. And you know, and you know, sometimes I find myself going down these rabbit holes watching Karen videos, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I think I do it just because I'm like grateful. I'm just like, thank God, I'm so happy I'm me. You know, I'm so happy that I deal with things the way I do.
Yeah, and you said like the cashier, when you see people like that, or even at a restaurant, instead of going in like attack mode or judgment mode, I would suggest to step into that person's energy, literally through their eyes. Maybe their son was just diagnosed with cancer. Maybe they just lost a parent. I mean, you really never know what somebody's going through.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Such great advice. Awesome. I love it. So let me just revisit the karma, the chat before we leave here. Be here now. Yes, I agree. Just smile and keep that light shining. It's so important to be aware of your fellow human being. You know what I mean? It's I think we've been trained not to, and that's a big part of that. Thank you, Raven, for your words of inspiration. Thank you, Raven. I watch Karen videos. Yeah. You know what? I go down 2 rabbit holes. I watch Karen videos, and you ready for this other one? It's awful. Gosh. Auditor videos, First Amendment auditors.
Oh, that's so funny. Are you on TikTok doing this?
She's not real. I don't use TikTok too much. Usually YouTube or Instagram. It's just I see one and I click it, and now the algorithm knows, so it's feeding it to me. But you know what the good thing is? It's like I get angry, and then I just kind of I process. It's like kind of my way to process it, right? And I'm just like, okay, it exists. I don't want to partake. You know what I mean? I just partook, you know, and got angry. I just typed up a comment, and now I'm going to delete it and not type, you know, not send it, you know, that kind of thing. But thank you so much, Raven, for being here. This was so much fun.
Well, thank you for having me. I always have a good time on your show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I appreciate the inspiration to do topics. I gotta come up with one for next week in the next day, so I can start promoting it. Thank you all so much. Also, all the people that showed up, Debbie. Thank you so much for inviting everybody and encouraging people to invite people, and the big ripple that we just created. You guys were all a part of that ripple. I hope you felt it. I definitely did. I appreciate it. Let me open up my calendar here. I'm not even going to put you in the green room. I'm going to sign out with you here. But let me see what I got. Next week, I don't have a guest lined up for next week. I'm going to come up with a guest and a topic.
You know what? I'm going to say this now. I really think you should message Debbie. She's an incredible healer and psychic medium.
Okay.
Check out her stuff. You're going to have her on the show sometime. She's a beautiful, so much fun. She's so much fun.
Maybe that's why she was here tonight. There are no coincidences. Debbie, you might be hearing from me, or reach out to me if you want to be a guest and tell me what you like talking about. because we're going to talk about something. It's going to be fun. I will say this, next week at 7 p.m. is the Grace Grella show. So I do a great show. Yeah, I do a great show with Grace Grella. It's like old school TV psychic. Call in and ask your question, and we're doing that next week. That'll be on the Grace Grella show. She has her own YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you guys can join us next week and just keep an eye out. Subscribe to the live stream of consciousness so that when I do come up with the topic and a guest, you get notified right away. And Raven, let's do this together. I usually put my guest in the green room and I do this, but let's just take a breath of gratitude for this moment we just shared. Blow it out. Feels so good. Feels so good.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you guys next week on the live stream of consciousness. Peace.